Okay, let's talk about two players, two completely different styles, and one rivalry that has absolutely dominated football for the better part of 2 decades. We're talking, of course, about Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. Now, for years, fans have argued endlessly over one simple question: who is the greatest of all time? You know the drill. Ronaldo fans point to the raw goals, the Champions League nights, those impossible gravity-defying headers, and just sheer, undeniable longevity. And then Messi fans, well, they point to the mesmerizing dribbling, the incredible vision, the Ballon d'Ors, and yeah, that World Cup. But what if we hit pause on the arguing for just a second? Today, we're not just looking at one viral clip or cherry-picking a single season. We're going to objectively compare their entire careers, laying out the whole picture to finally answer the ultimate question.
So, who is the greatest of all time? That's the million-dollar question, right? We're going to dive into everything from pure, ruthless goal scoring to unmatched longevity. We'll look at the data, the history, and break down this epic clash between the machine and the magician. And as you're going to see, the answer might not be as simple as you think.
You know, it's fascinating to look at where these two started, because their origins really set the stage for everything that followed. Cristiano Ronaldo grew up in a modest family in Madeira, Portugal. He ended up leaving home as a young teenager to play in Lisbon. And back then, he was this skinny kid, not physically imposing at all. But he had this trademark, absolutely ruthless obsession to improve. He literally built himself, muscle by muscle, into a physical phenomenon. Now jump over to Rosario, Argentina. Lionel Messi was incredibly naturally gifted right from the start, but his growth was actually threatened by a childhood medical condition. Barcelona saw that undeniable magic, brought him over to Spain, and nurtured it. So you have one guy who built himself into a machine and another who was basically born a magician. And those contrasting origins? They translated directly onto the pitch in some really incredible ways. When you watch Ronaldo at his absolute peak, it's all about speed, raw power, explosive movement, and a right foot that could honestly destroy goalkeepers. While he actually started out in Manchester United as this flashy winger who loved stepovers, his time at Real Madrid saw him totally transform. He shed all the extra tricks to become the ultimate efficient goal-scoring machine. Messi's evolution, on the other hand, was entirely different. I mean, his left foot practically seemed tied to the ball. He could weave through defenders like they were standing still. He wasn't just there to finish plays, he was this all-encompassing attacking creator who dictated the entire rhythm of a match. A true magician at the absolute peak of the sport. Get ready for this number. By mid-2026, major statistical trackers had Ronaldo sitting at an absolutely staggering 970-plus senior career goals. Over 970. That makes him the leading men's scorer in commonly tracked official totals. Just think about the sheer, unwavering consistency required to keep that up over 2 decades. And it's not just the volume, it's how he scored them. Right foot, left foot, blazing free kicks, high-pressure penalties, long-range, absolute rockets, and those towering headers where he literally just hung in the air defying gravity. He could score absolutely any type of goal. If the debate is purely who is the ultimate finisher, man, Ronaldo makes a nearly unbeatable case. Here is the crucial counter-argument. Messi doesn't just destroy the goalkeeper, he destroys your entire defensive structure. While Ronaldo takes the crown for raw goals, Messi's career has produced significantly more assists and a much higher overall goal involvement rate. He is somehow a world-class playmaker and a world-class finisher at the exact same time. He'll drop deep into the midfield, spot a passing lane that literally nobody else in the stadium even noticed, and break defensive lines effortlessly. Sometimes a player's greatest contribution is creating an opportunity that frankly didn't appear to exist, and that fundamentally changed how teams had to defend against him. Let's talk about the most famous individual metric in this entire debate, the Ballon d'Or. The breakdown here is pretty clear-cut. Messi holds an extraordinary 8 awards compared to Ronaldo's 5. And honestly, that is a massive point for Messi. But let's zoom out for a second and look at what this really means. Between 2008 and 2017, these two completely monopolized the award. For a whole decade, the rest of the footballing world was essentially just fighting it out for 3rd place. They pushed each other so relentlessly that you really have to wonder, if one of them hadn't existed, would the other have ever reached these same astronomical heights? Now, as we know, trophies aren't just won individually. So let's impartially compare their international success, because this is where things get really, really fascinating. Ronaldo absolutely has major international pedigree. He won the European Championship with Portugal in 2016, plus the Nations League in both 2019 and 2025. Those are massive, massive continental achievements. But Messi holds what many consider the ultimate trump card. In 2022, he lifted the World Cup with Argentina, and he even led them to another final in 2026. For a lot of fans, that World Cup victory was the exact moment that truly completed Messi's incredible career.
And speaking of that 2026 World Cup run, check out this number. 21. That is the record number of World Cup goals Messi achieved, finishing that 2026 tournament as the all-time leading World Cup scorer. He also extended his record to 34 World Cup appearances. Now, even though his Argentina squad valiantly fell 1-0 to Spain in extra time during that 2026 final, his World Cup resume remains just legendary. Ronaldo, on the flip side, scored in 6 different World Cups, which, let's be real, is a phenomenal longevity achievement in its own right, but he never quite managed to lift that iconic golden trophy. But wait, let's shift gears back to club football, because this is exactly where Ronaldo's argument roars back to life. Just think about his Champions League dominance. 140 goals for Ronaldo to Messi's 129. 5 titles for Ronaldo to Messi's 4. If you needed a goal in a high-stakes quarterfinal, a semifinal, the final itself, Ronaldo delivered. He didn't just play in Europe's biggest competition, he essentially became the undisputed king of it, carving out an entire legacy as the ultimate clutch, big-game knockout performer. To understand just how terrifying Ronaldo was in Europe, you only need to look at this one number: 17. During the 2013 to 2014 season, he set the single-season Champions League record with 17 goals. To put that into perspective for a second, most elite strikers would absolutely dream of scoring 10 goals in a single European campaign. It still stands as a seemingly unbreakable benchmark of peak goal-scoring efficiency. You know, one of the most underrated parts of Ronaldo's legacy is his physical and tactical reinvention. The guy didn't just stay the same player for 20 years. As he got older and naturally lost a bit of that pure pace, he intelligently adapted. He went from a fleet-footed dribbling winger to an explosive forward, to a devastating goal-scoring machine, and finally into an elite penalty box specialist deep into his career. In the world of sports science, this kind of elite longevity and pure survival instinct is practically unheard of, and it is a massive point in his column. But to balance the scale, we have to look at Messi's complete playmaking capability. Rather than just adapting his game, he seemed to master every single facet of the attack. He dictates the tempo, he possesses this elite passing vision, unmatched dribbling, and of course proved he could be the centerpiece of a World Cup winning team. His spatial awareness was so good, it literally forced opposing managers to invent entirely new ways to defend. He solved complex football problems on the pitch with this seemingly effortless genius, cementing his status as the most complete attacking playmaker in history. So let's summarize this tale of the tape. On one side, you have Ronaldo offering up the ultimate goal-scoring numbers, unmatched Champions League dominance, and just unbelievable longevity and reinvention. On the other side, you have Messi bringing elite playmaking, a clear advantage in Ballon d'Ors, and the ultimate prize in football, the World Cup. The slightly uncomfortable truth here, there isn't one single magic statistic that settles this debate, because football isn't math. A goal simply isn't the same as an assist. A World Cup isn't a Champions League. Both of these players represent entirely different, yet equally valid ideals of sporting greatness. Which leaves us with our final question: who really had the better career? Perhaps the truest measure of their greatness is asking what the sport of football would have even looked like without this rivalry, without one pushing the other to absolute impossible heights for 2 decades. But right now, it's your turn. You've seen the evidence, we've just weighed the machine versus the magician. So who had the better career? And more importantly, don't just say the name, tell me why.